How to prepare for a trip to Mars? NASA has been trying to answer that question for years. And not only about the science involved, the agency also is studying the very human side of what would be a 3-year round-trip journey to the Red Planet with the help of a USF researcher.
3, 2, 1, come on!
Last August, 6 scientists emerged from a year of living together in complete isolation. Their home was a 2-story geodesic dome built among old lava beds in Hawaii. The habitat contained everything they needed, just not much room. They each had a tiny bedroom, but shared the rest of the space, including workstations, a kitchen, and an exercise area. And in order to fully experience life on Mars, they even had to wear spacesuits each time they left the habitat for a walk on the rough Mars-like terrain. A USF psychologist is part of the group that's analyzing the personal side of the experiment. Teamwork and dealing with conflict are important factors in planning such a long space mission. Dr. Wendy Bedwell monitored the scientists while they were in isolation and interviewed each of them after the study ended.
The type of people who are going to volunteer to do this are highly committed to what they're doing. So they're going to want to do the science. They're going to want to do the exploration. That's an inherent part of them. Getting along with others is something that's difficult for a lot of people, especially when you're in an isolated, confined, and extreme environment. So we're sort of putting a bunch of people in a pressure cooker and saying, okay, now everyone get along. And it's just hard to do for extended periods of time. So that's why NASA's very interested in us trying to predict when there's going to be problems so that we can stop them before they get really big.
The year in the simulated Mars habitat was the 3rd and longest mission yet. Bedwell was also involved in an earlier 8-month-long mission. She says there were differences in how each crew found ways to cope.
So what worked actually quite well for the 8-month crew was to avoid each other. They actually made the relationship aspects a task. So, okay, today Jack and Joe cannot work together. They're just not going to have that happen. So we're going to try and figure out how we can get all our tasking done and not have Jack interact with Joe. What we're initially seeing from the 12-month is that they actually relied on pairs of people to really kind of provide social support for each other. And there was a bunch of different pairs that formed. Some were about tasks. 2 people just worked really well together. So the crew would just try and arrange so that those 2 people could do a lot of the tasks that involved heavy amounts of teamwork. And there were some people that couldn't work well together. So the crew just said, okay, we're just going to make it so that these people, when they have to do something together, it's not going to be really intensive in terms of how much I need to depend on you, because long periods of time, they just get on each other's nerves. There's conflicts, relationship conflict, like I just don't like you personally, and then there's task conflict, where we disagree about how we're supposed to do something. I think it's supposed to be done one way and you think it's supposed to be done another way, and the 2 of us are supposed to be working on it together. And both of those types of conflict occurred with our 8-month and our 12-month cruise, which again is very normal over an extended period of time, especially when you're in such an isolated and confined environment.
The scientists found ways to break the stress of living together in such close quarters.
The use of humor. Actually, one of the crew members sort of took the role of being the jokester, and if things got really intense, would do something silly just to add levity to the situation, and that really seemed to help diffuse any situation, because if one person starts laughing, everyone else kind of starts laughing as well. They would have salsa dancing night to kind of blow off steam, which I thought was interesting. Didn't see that one coming.
Although the researchers involved are not astronauts, each seemed willing to consider it. NASA teamed up with the University of Hawaii for the project. 2 more similar training missions are planned.